WVUA-FM, Tuscaloosa.
Hello, everybody. This is WVUA 90.7 FM, The Capstone, and welcome to episode number 18 of the Full Court Press podcast. My name is Jamie Martinez, and I'm joined by Alex Chasen and Nick Atkinson. On today's episode, look forward to league news, trade rumors, and our Western Conference trade deadline dream scenarios. We hope you enjoyed last week's episode, but before we get into it, we have a quick announcement to make.
What is it, Jamie?
Next Thursday, February 9th, is the NBA trade deadline, as you all know. From 6 to 7 p.m. on the deadline, we will be having our first ever live show on WVUA 90.7 FM.
What?
Wow. We will be discussing all of the trades that happened before the deadline, what to look forward to after, and more. If you're not in the Tuscaloosa County area, to find the live show, just search up WVUA 90.7 FM The Capstone on Google and click the link titled Listen Live. With all of that being said, let's finally get into it.
Let's get right into it, everybody. The trade deadline is February 9th at 3 p.m. Eastern, as Jamie said. So, hey, that's gonna be fun for that live show. I'm very excited for it. How you guys feeling? You guys excited for this?
Muy excited. This is hype. First time we've ever done anything like this.
Exactly. And don't worry, guys. It will still be a podcast. It will probably be coming out that Friday because we'll also be doing a podcast that Wednesday that will come out on Friday as well. We'll tell you what that is at the end of our show when Jamie does the outro as usual. But yeah, we'll be getting double FCP next week, which that might be a hint for something, but we're not gonna tell you guys right now.
Not just yet.
Not just yet. We have something working, but hey, now let's get into it. LeBron James is 89 points away from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. When's he gonna get it? He's gonna get it either this coming week before our next show or right after our next show / the live show. So when's he gonna get it, boys?
Honestly, I think it's coming in 4 games from now, which is OKC. I think, he'll get like 30 points against the Pacers and a couple points against the Pelicans. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I think it comes against OKC too. If not OKC, then probably Milwaukee, because that's what I think everybody wants to see. The Lakers and the Bucks, 2 of Kareem's old teams. So, I think it would be very fitting against Milwaukee, but with how LeBron's performing right now, I could definitely see it happening in Oklahoma City.
I guess the Warriors would be kind of nice too.
That'd be pretty cool.
The following game. That'd be a good history marker since, him versus the Warriors has been one of the biggest battles of his career. So I'd like to see that one as well. Now let's talk about LeBron James a little bit, but in a broader topic. Refs versus LeBron and the refs as a whole. Is there a refereeing problem in the NBA? As we saw last Saturday night, Jason Tatum, and I'm a Celtics fan here, so listen to me, I mean this. Jason Tatum clearly fouled LeBron James, which would win the game for the Lakers, but it sent it to overtime, and the Celtics took over in overtime. Yep. So in my opinion, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I mean, it should have been called a foul, but the Lakers didn't even try in overtime, and the Celtics still won. They still had a chance to win that game. But in a broader scale, is there a refereeing problem in the NBA? Because I don't even want to get into the topic of is LeBron James, getting calls. It's LeBron James. He gets calls. Why? He doesn't need to be like, oh, I never get calls. You're just lying to the world. He gets more calls than anyone else. So I don't even want to discuss that topic unless you guys want to. But the broader issue, is there a refereeing problem?
Yeah. Personally, I kind of think there is. I mean, it's like they'll call... When it comes down to the late, part of the game, they're kind of weird on the end of the games for some reason. Like, there's multiple plays against the Lakers, for instance, this season. 4 different occasions there's been a foul when the clock is going down. Westbrook gets his arm held. Kendrick Nunn got fouled. This thing with LeBron. And I think another thing with LeBron. So, maybe it's just a Laker thing. I don't really think that the refs are out to get the Lakers. But, I feel like they're just they're calling a lot of things that are soft a little bit. So maybe they should just kind of look in this summer to maybe a little bit of a change.
What could they possibly change though? Because humans are going to be humans.
Yeah, I mean, just not playing not letting the game be more physical. Like the most physical game this season was Jokic versus Embiid. They let them just go at it. They were bullying each other in the post the whole game, and I mean we saw the result of that. Jokic got dominated by Embiid, but I mean I just think that's how basketball needs to be played.
Yeah, so I actually saw the statistic earlier today where it listed the teams by what teams get the most calls, listed all the way down to what teams don't get the most. And the teams that get the most amount of calls are Los Angeles, or the Lakers. Yeah. The Lakers, the Golden State Warriors, and I believe it was the Clippers get the most calls in their favor in the NBA. all the big market teams. So Boston was up there. A couple of other big teams. The teams that were at the bottom were all the small market teams. Sacramento got the least amount of calls in the NBA in their favor, percentage-wise, along with Utah and other small area teams like that. So I'm not sure if there's a big market bias going on in the NBA. I definitely think that's a possibility, but I just think we need more even and unbiased refs.
I can agree with that. I wonder if it's this is just I didn't see the stats. I'm just thinking on the fly here. I wonder if it's less the big markets and more if those teams just have big name players and they're going to get something that might not really be a foul, called a foul, or vice versa, where if it's like a kind of like a bum making a foul, they're more likely to call it than if LeBron's making it. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's weird because also like Sacramento on the list was the team at the very bottom that got the least amount of calls in their favor. And they have 2 stars on their team, 2 all-stars, where you still have teams like Houston, OKC, Utah getting more calls than they are. So I'm not sure what it is, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I think a little bit is for the Lakers at least, you have 3 guys on that team that have always been known for like going out and drawing fouls. Westbrook, LeBron, AD. They've always gone to the line, and for whatever reason, all 3 of them are not that skilled at, free throws at this point in their careers. But, I feel like that's the thing for them. But as far as the Warriors, I think that's kind of crazy. The Kings, that's a little crazy having a guy like De'Aaron Fox who drives towards the basket a lot.
And he doesn't get any calls.
He's not getting calls. That is kind of crazy. So, yeah, I feel like as far as, like I was saying, physicality, it's just stuff like that is getting called. But then, like, the little easy stuff gets called. You get what I'm saying? So
I can get on board with that one. Let's jump into some broader NBA news, not so much referees and, non-players. Let's talk about the players. Miles Turner. I did not see this coming. I don't think anyone saw this coming, in my opinion, but he signs a contract extension with the Indiana Pacers, a 2-year, $60 million contract extension that includes an additional $17.1 million. I have a take on this. And we'll see, if it comes to fruition coming into the trade deadline. I doubt it's going to happen now. I see this as more of an off-season move. I think they're signing him to an extension to make him more, we've talked about this off the show, to make him more valuable to other markets, other teams, because they want to move him. He's been getting talked about for at least 4 years now to get moved. I think this contract extension just makes him more valuable to teams because he's locked up for a while and he can't sign with another team for another year. So, how do you guys feel about this?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Because that's why teams have been hesitant to, trade first-round picks, second-round picks for him, because it's like a one-year rental, and most of the time with stuff like that, the player tends to leave if they don't win a championship. So,
unless, since it's only 2 years, that maybe not this offseason, but the following offseason, that's where he'll finally fly free. But he just wanted to get a little bag. I don't know. It's kind of confusing to me.
The 2-year deal confuses me because it's not like he could just leave in the offseason and have a long stint with another team. He's only under contract for 2 years. So, again, it's another situation of a short rental player. So, it's kind of weird. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that contract unless he wants to stay in Indiana for 2 more years. But, I think he should get like a big deal somewhere else at some point.
Yeah, he's definitely worth it. The second best shooter in the league.
It's not worth $30 million a year though, like he's getting.
That's a lot, yeah.
Maybe not $30 million, but upwards of the mid to high 20s. I think he's well worth it.
I'd say hitting that $30 million mark. And yes, the cap keeps going up with inflation and everything else in the world, but I think there's still $30 million is just a bit too much for me, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Russell Westbrook passes Peyton.
Gary
Payton. Actually, I should have said Gary Payton. For 10th in assists. I'm going to leave this one up to Nick because you're the Russell Westbrook man. How you feeling about this? And how close do you think he'll get to John Stockton? We talked about this a few nights ago.
Well, he's on track. He usually gets. He'll never. No, I think John Stockton. That'll be one of the hardest records to break in NBA history. He won't get that. I think his ceiling for that is probably top 5. He'll probably get Steve Nash by the end of his career. I don't think any time within the next 3 years though. But that's great for a guy that up until 2015-16 really didn't average double-digit assists. So, obviously I'm happy that this is kind of implementing him into. When people try to say like he's a ball hog, it's like I don't see how you can be a ball hog, top 10 in assists, but then he's a stat pattern. Just pick one of the two.
They said the same thing about Kobe.
Exactly.
He has one of the most assists all time.
Yep, exactly. So I think that kind of just shuts down that argument now for him being top 10 in assists. So.
You got anything to say on that one, Jamie?
I mean, it was bound to happen. He's one of the best passers of the last decade, if not the best. Well, not the best, but he's definitely up there. So I think it was bound to happen with the longer he played and if he kept up the production. So I think if he can keep that production up for another 2-3 years, at least passing wise, he could definitely keep moving up that list.
I agree. And then, I don't know why they've just named one side of this, but we only have one side of this. It's the Eastern Conference. Celtics coach Joe Mazzulla has been named head coach of Team Giannis because they hold the best record in the NBA, that being the Celtics. I do find it weird, though, how they haven't named
both.
Both. I don't know why they just didn't name both.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I'm assuming it's Mike Malone because, y'all, Celtics first seed in the East. But, Joe Mazzulla, he thinks it's nothing. That's what he thinks about the
That's what
coaching.
That was his quote today.
Thinks nothing about it.
I like that. Joe Mazzulla, we have a bigger goal at hand. It is winning the title. I saw that interview as well.
Yeah.
He did. He just
he
doesn't really care. I respect it, but he's very nonchalant, which I like. Yeah. But then I don't like it when he's coaching. Sometimes he coaches, he doesn't call a timeout when I think you should call a timeout, or most people think you should call a timeout. I was over one of the Celtics games I was at over break. The fans started yelling at him, not a lot, but a few like the diehards, saying, "Call a timeout, Joe. This team needs to reset." With a hard Boston accent. Yeah. I'm not going to do it because I'm not trying to embarrass myself. But insert a Boston accent in your brain, and that's what they were saying. So
do you have a Boston accent when you go back home? I know it's a dumb question, but I'm just wondering.
Does my accent change?
Yeah. Do you switch back?
No, but I did notice when I was at home and then I came back down here. People some of our friends in our friend group, shout out Tommy, shout out Holiday, the ones from the South, or even just talking to people out in general. You're from the South, Nick, but you don't really have an accent.
Yeah.
They sounded a lot stronger because I was around a bunch of Boston accents. I don't know. I don't really think I have a strong accent.
Not really.
No, it's kind of the same way how I am, how you said I am.
I do have times, and they've heard it where it comes out. Even on the show, I listen back, and I'm like, well, my accent came out there. But for the most part,
Marcus Smart.
Marcus Smart, yeah. The GOAT. Who just had... Oh, shout out Marcus Smart. He has got a cereal named after him. Look it up. Buy it. Give him his money. But anyways, yes, Joe Mazzulla is the coach for the Eastern Conference.
It's probably stale.
Most likely, it will be Malone of the Denver Nuggets getting it in the West because they hold the best record there. All-Star starters have been named. There's a little bit of controversy with this one, but the 2023 East All-Star starters, obviously the captain, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and then Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, and here's where the controversy comes. Kyrie Irving and Donovan Mitchell. You're shaking your head, Nick. Why?
Donovan Mitchell, that's a great pick. He should absolutely be there. But Kyrie Irving, I just find that, I think it's absurd. He has barely played. He has played this season, but at the same time, he still wasn't playing. And when the KD has been out, they've been awful. They barely got a win over Russell Westbrook alone on the Lakers, just him. So, I don't think he's deserving of an all-star starter spot. I would rather give Darius Garland an all-star spot over him.
That's crazy. I think it should have gone to Tyrese Halliburton if we were going to do a point guard. I know.
Obviously, he'll be in it. I'm
saying JB, man.
Oh, of course, Jalen Brown. I'm saying Kyrie. I don't even think he should be an all-star. He should.
Oh.
But it's I'm very him and Darius Garland. It's right there of who deserves it more. I feel like Kyrie just gets it because of the name value.
Yeah, I think that's why Damian Lillard will probably get it in the West. But
bro, he's a 12 seed in the Western Conference. That's ridiculous.
Still, everybody thinks it's Dame time.
Well, it's not Dame time. It's losing time.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
De'Aaron Fox is winning time. They're the third seed in the Western Conference.
Amen. Light the beam.
Yeah.
But about Kyrie Irving, I honestly think they were just going for a point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center type thing. Because Giannis can play the center. They want Kyrie Irving, who's the point guard, which is why they didn't put Jaylen Brown in. So I can understand where it's coming from if you want to see it at that standpoint. Do I think Jaylen Brown should have made it over Kyrie Irving? I definitely do. Kyrie Irving's a great player. He's going to be fun to watch in the All-Star game, but Jaylen Brown I do think was more deserving of that starting role, even though I think Tyrese Halliburton would have been awesome to watch as a starter.
Absolutely.
That would have been a great come-up story, but, shout out Kyrie Irving. He's doing his thing.
In the West, though, they did have two guards. They have Curry and Luka, who both point guards.
Yeah, but Luka could play the two. Luka plays the two.
Three.
Yeah.
But let's get into the West. Speaking of those guys, LeBron James is the captain, of course, and like I said, Curry and Luka are in the starting lineup. And then Jokic and Zion Williamson, who probably won't play.
I don't think he will.
So who's that go to? Because we don't know the bench yet. That's not going to be announced. So who do you think
AD probably.
I don't know. I don't think AD's played enough, and I don't think he's I have no bias here. I think Domantas Sabonis should be definitely up there. He's putting up a lot of wild numbers.
I don't hate that take,
I don't either, but I just feel like name value.
Yeah,
is
obviously. It's same with Kyrie Irving. I can
Yeah.
definitely see it going to 80. I think that's what they will do. I think Sabonis is more deserving just because he leads the league in rebounds.
Yeah.
He's like way up there in assists, so
I feel you.
playing a lot more. But
Yeah.
I think 80 will get it.
Yeah.
The Rising Stars game. The
Interesting.
players have been announced, and I don't see Cole Swider on here. Shout out my high school, St. Andrew's School in Barrington, Rhode Island. I don't see him on here. Why is that? Come on, NBA, do better.
Scottie Pippen Jr. is better.
Mac McClung better.
But let's get into the NBA rookies who are going to be in this Rising Stars game. Phenom, Paolo Banchero,
Italian.
Jalen Duran. Yeah, we found out he's Italian like Nick. Did not know that, but we found that one out yesterday when we were eating Subway for lunch. Fun fact. Jalen Duran, AJ Griffin, Jaden Ivey, Walker Kessler, Bean Math, Benedict Mathurin, Keegan Murray,
Light the beam.
Andrew Nembhard, Jabari Smith Jr., Jeremy Sohan, Jalen Williams, Jose Alvarado, who's like 27.
I know,
yeah,
that's
26,
crazy.
but it's only his second year, so he qualifies. Scotty Barnes, Josh Giddey, Jalen Green, Quentin Grimes, Bones Highland, who's in some trade rumors, Evan Mobley, Trey Murphy III, Alfred Şengün, and Franz Wagner. Plus some G League studs. Future, most likely second overall pick in the 2023 NBA draft. Scoot Henderson, that'll be fun to see him with some NBA players. Sidi Kasiko, who will also be in this year's draft, I believe. Mojave King. Why do they have some really hard names?
Mojave King.
Mojave King, Kenneth Lofton Jr.,
Big
Leonard
boy.
Miller, Mac McClung, who's also in the dunk contest, and then Legend son Scottie Pippen Jr. to round out this game. How you guys think about this?
I don't think they missed anybody on
Yeah,
the list. I
legit.
love the
Cole
Trey.
Swider?
Bro.
I love that
kidding.
Trey Murphy got a shout out. That made me like very. Actually, Herb Jones not being on here. I thought that was
It's his
kind of
third
weird.
year?
No, it's his second year.
It's his second.
Second year.
I feel like
He's
no diss to Nembhard or Jalen Williams.
Jalen
I
Williams?
feel
He's
Herb
balling
Jones is crazy.
but he's hurt.
He's hurt. Jalen Williams, I would definitely give him over
Not Herb.
Quentin Grimes.
Okay, yeah, Quentin Grimes, but Herb
Yeah.
is next level. Though.
Shoot, I'd give it over Sohan. He's.
Yeah, he's been a bum.
Yeah.
Shout out Westbrook throwing the ball at his face.
I think it's really good. I don't really think they missed anybody. I like how they included the G League. Me and Alex were talking about this yesterday. How we thought the G League was having a Rising Stars game, but the G League literally is the Rising Stars. So shout out Scoot Henderson. I think he's going to be awesome to watch in that game, seeing how he's going to go up against NBA level talent. Also, shout out all these other guys. Jalen Williams out of California. Shout out him. Andrew Nembhard. He's been balling alongside Tyrese Halliburton and
Yes,
Benedict
he's been
Mathurin.
great.
He put that game winner on the Lakers. I remember that. Josh Giddey, the White Magic Johnson. Bones Highland, one of my favorite players in the league. I don't think he should be traded. I thought he would have been Sixth Man of the Year candidate. However, I don't think they missed here, so I think this is a great
Yeah, I'm
list.
very happy with it as well. And let's get into one more segment before the main segment. Trade rumors with Nick.
Oh, yeah.
This
Alright.
might be the last one.
Yeah,
So let's
I think
get into it.
All right. So to start it off, obviously Jay Crowder, Phoenix Suns, they've been having problems since the beginning of the season. So now the biggest team that I think would be beneficial for both sides, Milwaukee Bucks, are now in talks. They gave the Phoenix Suns gave the Bucks permission to speak with Jay Crowder, ahead of the trade deadline. So, what do you think an offer from them would look like? I already have one in my
I got
mind.
one, but I'm
hear
going to
y'all, though.
save it until we get into that. Phoenix
Okay.
Suns.
So for Phoenix,
I want to save it till we talk about the Phoenix
Yeah,
Suns.
we'll just save it.
yeah.
Okay, so yeah. Next up, though, Phoenix, New Orleans, Indiana are all in serious talks with the Raptors for OG, and we found out the team that offered multiple first-round picks for OG.
The Knicks. Wow.
And I don't get that. You have RJ Barrett.
Yeah.
So what are you doing, moving him to the bench? I guess.
No.
Unless they trade him.
You can put OG at the... No, because they have Randall.
Put him at the 3, and then I guess put RJ.
They like to
at
run
the 2.
quickly at the 2.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he could be a good six man.
That's what I thought he was going to be.
That's what I thought. I think that's his ceiling.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's a great ceiling. But I don't know. This one's kind of weird to me. I don't get why this is a guy we're trying to prioritize trading. But the Sixers have kind of just allowed teams to talk to them about Matisse Thybulle. Warriors and Kings are interested.
I would love that.
I don't like it. I love Matisse Thybulle. He's the head of our defense.
Yeah.
he controls it so good.
Is it okay if I talk about this one real quick? Just
Yeah,
the
go
Matisse
ahead.
Thybulle. So I didn't include Matisse in the Kings one today. I'm more focused on rim protecting. But if the Sacramento does not go after OG Anunoby, I think Matisse Thybulle is absolutely another great second option. Just because their bench defense is not great outside of Davion Mitchell and KZ Okapala. So I think bringing in Matisse Thybulle to guard those wings that we have so much struggles guarding, especially guys like LeBron who puts like 35 on us every time, just holding them to 25 would be great. So I think bringing in Matisse would be awesome.
Well, as a Sixers fan, I want to hear your offer.
Shoot. Oh, man, you're putting me on the spot. I could see us giving you somebody like Trey Lyles in a pick. Trey Lyles has been really good off
That
the
would be
bench. He's been a
nice.
great scorer.
That'd be nice
So I think,
because
yeah.
I like Paul Red more than I like Montrezl Harrell,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like Paul Red is the future as our center. So, I mean, I'd be fine with having Trey Lyles. He shoots the ball
Yeah,
well,
he's a
plays
great
good
shooter.
defense. I would be fine with that.
Yeah.
But
So
I just
Trey Lyles and
really-
Matisse Thybulle could be like straight up.
I really like Matisse Thybulle, though.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to give up on him.
But you're looking for some more scoring.
We have Tyrese Maxey is on the bench now, which is annoying, but I don't know. It's any team coached by Doc Rivers has no guidance, there's no real.
Except the 08 Celtics.
Yeah, that's it, and that's because that's a super team. But that's 3 top 50 players of all time. But I don't know. It's just they're in such a weird spot. Anybody coached by Doc, so.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Ready to jump into it?
Yeah, we can jump right
Alrighty.
into it. Starting with number 15, the Houston Rockets. Free Eric Gordon until it's backwards. They've set their asking price for him way too high. They decline offers from the Bucks, 3 second-round picks, and I don't get why you reject that whenever he kind of contributes nothing. For them, contributes nothing for them. He'd be a great shooter, a great player for any other team in the league, and he's sitting there on a humongous contract while you're paying a bunch of other guys old contracts anyways, and he's just sitting there kind of taking up money. And he's a vet that can contribute to a winning team, just like Boban, who's sitting there as well. So I don't know. For me, I guess the dream trade would be sending him to a team like Detroit, who has cap space, and getting a first-round pick. I mean, because they seem to not want to take on seconds for him. They want 2 first-round picks. So
That's not gonna happen.
yeah.
I don't know about Detroit.
I got a quick fun fact talking about the Rockets. They are still paying. And I have a couple of teams like this too. When I was just going through like a bunch of team salaries, they are still paying John Wall's godly contract this season. They're paying John Wall. He's not on the roster. For people that don't know, he's on the Clippers. They're paying him $40 million, and he's not even on the team. That's the astronomical Wizards contract that they gave John Wall, which I think was like one of the first big supermaxes of the new era where the cap shot up. I think that was like one of the new contracts in that time frame, along with Russell Westbrook's. And looking back on that, especially the John Wall one, wow. Even looking at the Russell Westbrook one, you could make an argument saying, wow, but it was worth it in the moment, 1,000%, because he was otherworldly.
Only these last 2 years, I would say it wasn't worth it.
Yeah. But for the Rockets in general, not much they're really going to do at the deadline, I don't really think. They are in tank mode 110%, as we all know. At most, I see them trying to free Aaron Gordon, like Nick just said. He's getting paid $19 and then $20 million, so it's a hard thing to move. Even for a contender, if he wants to get to a contender, most contending teams have so much money put into. Let's go with the Celtics, for example. They have millions into Tatum, Brown, Smart, Horford, Rob.
Yeah.
Just those 5, they don't have the money to move unless you want to get rid of one of those 5 or package some of your great depth to then get Eric Gordon. So it's going to be hard for him to get to a contending team. I really see him just riding out this contract.
Why not buy him out?
Maybe, but they have to pay John Wall $40 million, so it's just money-wise, it's going to be really hard for him to move this contract. Maybe next year when John Wall's contract is expired, but right now I don't see him getting moved. He's kind of just stuck unless the Rockets buy him out, like you just said. But I don't see it happening anytime this season. Yeah. And then finally for the Rockets, let's just get Boban back to the Mavs. He loves Luka. Those are like best friends. Those are the people you see walking down the park together, eating a sandwich together. They are best friends. Let's just get him back to the Mavs and maybe have him a chance just to be on a winning team, because I feel bad for him being in Houston.
Yeah, so for Houston, I forgot about Boban Marjanovic. I would probably send him out for like a second-round pick or something, like a future one. Just send him out to Dallas with Luka, or send him over to Philly to Tobias Harris. That's his other homie. So, but the biggest one here is obviously Eric Gordon. He's taken a lot of possessions away from the youth on their team. I know Jalen Green loves to shoot, so I mean you're taking possessions away from Alperen Sengun, Jalen Green, Josh Christopher. I mean there's a lot of guys out there that need possessions to really develop, and Eric Gordon's out there just like doing stuff. So Exactly, all those corner threes that he misses. So I would ship him out, send him to a contender if they have the cap and want him. If not, you can send him to a developing team to help mentor some young guys, hopefully not shot chuck and ruin everybody else's time. So Eric Gordon is the big one that the Rockets need to get out of there. But other than that, I don't really think they need to do much.
Yeah. So moving on to the Spurs, 14th seed, obviously tanking to the fullest. Get some of the guys out of there. McDermott, Podol, obviously, that's the guy that's been mentioned the most. Peyton Pritchard came out and said he wants a new start next season. He can easily come in and be the sixth man of the future. Trey Jones is just, I think he's a better player as far as playmaking, So I feel like that's the point guard of the future. But trade Jakob Podol for Pritchard and, just straight up. I guess whatever. If you got to make the money work, make the money work. I think it can be done straight up though, because
I don't think so. Because Pritchard's on very small.
Yeah,
it's like around $7 million or $6 million, something like that.
You probably have to throw like
12.
Justin Jackson or something.
Yeah. Okay. So one little filler. But yeah. Next up though, as far as another, I would say trade McDermott. He has a $7 million deal. Trade him to the Bucks for Jordan Nwora and George Hill. And to make the contracts work. Nora, up-and-coming guy. He plays high-level defense, has high potential.
That'd be hard to do, though, if they trade him for Jay Crowder.
This is like... that falls out.
Is that the backup plan? I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nick said it. They're in complete tank mode. They're just trying to get the best lottery odds they can to be in the Scoot, Wembanyama, shout out B. Mills, Brendan Miller, sweepstakes, one of those three. They'll probably get top two, in my opinion. Just, the lottery, how it is, and the Spurs always end up with a foreign guy anyways. But rumors from Shams, they're shopping Podol, which we know, but then Josh Richardson, which hasn't really been talked about a lot. As we discussed with the Celtics last week about Podol, blah, 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 blah. Josh Richardson, how do you feel about him? You didn't discuss him. I think he should get moved. He needs to be on a good team.
Oh, I'll talk about him later.
Okay. I think he needs to go back to like a Sixers or
I'd love
some
Sixers,
team.
Yeah.
I don't know, but they got to dump Doug McDermott's terrible contract, and I think that one will be easier to move than the Rockets' chance to move Eric Gordon's contract. It's $20 to $19 million. Doug's just a clean 13 and 13. And yes, Eric Gordon's a lot better, but his contract's smaller. It'll be easier to move. I think they just got to dump that off and just. There's no point for them to be there.
For the Spurs, they are in absolute tank mode. Just clean house. Jakob Podol is the obvious choice to get out of here. I think he ends up in Boston. That's what everybody's saying. So I ideally think Peyton Pritchard is what you want in return, just like Nick said. Trey Jones is not the best shooter at that point guard position, and Peyton Pritchard can kind of combat that off the bench. So I think that would complement each other well, having Trey Jones and Peyton Pritchard together, getting rid of Pirtle. And then Josh Richardson obviously does need to be moved. I think either Philly could be a great place, Milwaukee if Jay Crowder doesn't work out, even Dallas. Lakers. I think Dallas could work out. Just get Luka some more shooters around him. So
yeah, that'd be nice.
So there's a lot of places and a lot of things they could do with Josh Richardson. So I think the Spurs are in a really good spot. They have vets they can move and more youth to gain. So if I'm a Spurs fan, I'm kind of excited for the future.
Yeah. Next up are the Lakers. The Rui trade has seemed to work though this far. He provides higher energy defense, shoots 40% on catch and shoot threes. So that's I feel like that they won that trade obviously. Russ is 100% the unanimous sixth man of the year.
Throw that in there.
I was gonna say we're not even talking about him.
Talking about the team.
Oh, because just in case somebody wanted to trade Westbrook out, The Beverly trades are seeming to have been little more than rumors, just rumors. I think their defense is a problem, though. Trade the players that get little to no minutes. Damian Jones and JTA, despite how much I respect him. A trade for Josh Richardson. Spurs have a lot of salaries, and you can make that work with the Spurs cap room. So the Lakers give up a second-round pick, JTA, Damian Jones for Josh Richardson. I think that would be that'd be good
for them.
Mm-hmm.
So the Lakers are the 13th seed. Looks terrible, right? But they're only 2.5 games out of the play-in, so they actually have something to trade for or build towards if they're not going to do a trade. I'm not really sure if they're going to make another move. That's my opinion. I don't think they're really going to. I think the Rui trade, they don't really have a lot of assets without giving up like good pieces to their roster. Because you named JTA and then Damian Jones, right? Those guys, you're not really going to be able to get much in return for that. You might luck out and get Josh Richardson, but I don't even know if the Spurs would accept that.
For a second-round pick, I feel like they would.
Yeah, maybe you're going to have to throw a pick in there, too. But you know what I mean? There's nothing really valuable the Lakers have left to give up. I mean, Kendrick Nunn wasn't that valuable, and yeah, you got Rui, but you gave up a lot of picks in that trade. With that said, they have some rumors in the league about the traction. I don't know what I wrote here in my notes. I don't know what I was writing at all. There's been rumors about Pat Bev. That's where I was trying to go with that, I believe. And nothing, like Nick said, there's nothing really steaming with that.
Just rumors.
I don't think anything's going to happen. I really don't think they're going to make another move. Like I said, they're 2.5 games out of the play-in. So they're really not that far behind.
3-game win streak, they're in it.
Exactly. So 13 seed looks bad, but other than that, it's not that bad for them. I think they just stick with what they got and just finally try to create just some chemistry. Because people been out, LeBron's been out, AD's been out, everyone's been out. The only person I really think that's been healthy is Russell Westbrook for the most part. So I think they just have to, Rui's now on the team, so just find some time, get some chemistry, and see where they can go.
Yeah.
So for the Lakers, I know it's pretty unrealistic, and it probably won't happen, but this is trade deadline dream scenarios. This is a dream, and I know Nick can attest to this. Free Russ, send him to New Orleans. Send him to New Orleans, where he can go and contend for a championship.
Sucks right now.
When everybody's healthy, Russ can be there for a while. You could trade him for C.J. McCollum, 2 big contracts. The Lakers lack shooting. I think it could work out in the long run. Keep Pat Bev. So I think a 1-for-1 trade. If you want to throw in picks, if somebody's not happy, that's fine. But Russell Westbrook in New Orleans would be deadly. Just throwing lobs to guys like Jonas Valanciunas, Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, and then you got your defense and Herb Jones, Jose Alvarado, C.J. McCollum.
Okay.
I like that.
2 big contracts. So I think it switches off pretty evenly. The Lakers get shooting, which they need, and the Pelicans get a lot of playmaking that they lack because they don't have a true point guard. They've been running CJ, and CJ's a shooting guard. We all know that. So I mean, I don't think it'll happen, but if this is a dream scenario, send Russ to New Orleans, and they are instant championship contenders.
Yeah, I absolutely 100% fully agree.
I think they get a lot worse, but
really,
New Orleans?
That's crazy. That's insane.
No, definitely not.
With that playmaking, that's insane.
Yeah, but CJ's scoring 20-plus points a game a night. Who's up?
Yeah, but now Russ is feeding everybody else. Russ is feeding guys like Zion, he's feeding Zion, he's feeding Valanciunas.
Westbrook can still get 18 points per game.
That's what he's.
No,
yeah,
not on that team.
I'm saying if he's a starter, he's not going to come off the bench. I think he starts.
And 15 points in 12 assists is amazing.
He doesn't average that though.
He would if he started.
Yeah.
His per 36 is.
Why is he has shooters around him now?
Yeah, but now you get
shooters.
Yeah. Now you get Jonas Valanciunas, Jose Alvarado, Herb Jones, Brandon Ingram. That's way better than what he has on the Lakers.
That's fine.
I don't know. I don't think it'll work out.
Jonas is very. We'll get into it.
Yeah, the Pelicans are coming up, so.
Another time. Blazers, I have on here buying stupidly. Same story over and over again. They have the pieces. They're just terrible on defense. Josef Nurkic. He's just not a good defensive center to me. He just doesn't put any effort to it. He's just a very lazy center to me. I'll say it again, Damian Lillard is not a winning first option. If I were in the GM shoes, I'm trading Damian Lillard, Winslow, and Eubanks to the Clippers for Luke Kennard, Rocco, Batum, and Reggie Jackson. Obviously, like we said, dream scenarios, not realistic. So just if I am them, get some of these guys off the team that you're going to have to pay later. Get Winslow off the team for like some picks somewhere. Because he's providing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
The Trailblazers reported, not surprising, they're committed to building around Dame still. And Damian Lillard is still committed to the Trailblazers. He's not going anywhere. There's going to be no trade. I don't see him making a single move at the deadline because they have a well-built roster if you look at it. I was looking at that roster. Like, they have Josh Hart coming off the bench, starting sometimes. I think he's one of the best just 3-and-D players in the league. He does it all. But they're just still missing that final piece, which has been the Trailblazers' trend for years now. When they had CJ, they were missing one more piece. They tried getting blah, 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 blah. Didn't work. Right now, Anthony Simons takes over CJ's spot, arguably better than what CJ was doing offensively. Not overall, but offensively.
I feel you.
Dame is still playing at a high level, dropped 60 points a week and a half ago. But still, they have Jeremy Grant, who is that piece that, they have a piece that comes and goes throughout the time there. They have Carmelo that comes and goes. People come and go. Jeremy Grant is going to come and go. He'll be gone next year probably unless he re-signs on a bigger deal. But with that said, they're still one big piece away, and it's not coming anytime soon. I see no direction for this roster. My hope is maybe Shannon Sharp can turn into that piece they've been looking for, because he has a lot of potential and they love him in Portland.
Yeah. So in Portland, yes, they're committed to Damian Lillard. They're not going to do nothing forever. I think their problem right now is they have too many guards. You have Dame Lillard, Gary Payton, Anthony Simons, Keon Johnson, Josh Hart, Shaden Sharp, Justice Winslow, all playing guard. So I think you got to move that. Look for another forward to pair up with Jeremy Grant. I'm sure there's other guys out there. You can trade for somebody like Doug McDermott, Josh Richardson. So there's guys out there you could trade for. This is indefinitely not the Trailblazers' year. So I guess as of right now, just try trading for smaller guys you could build with for the future, or bring in some vets to help guys like Anthony Simons. So I think Josh Richardson and Doug McDermott could be good trades. Just send off Justice Winslow or Yusuf Nurkic or something.
Yeah, I agree. Next up is the Thunder. I have them on the come up / rebuilding still. No assets there's no assets they need to trade. Everybody is young, and is developing beside Mike Muscala. With that being said, look for a team that can benefit for like a stretch big, kind of like the Memphis Grizzlies. They kind of lack another center, so maybe look at them.
Fun fact, the Thunder are still paying 7 guys who are not even on the team anymore. The biggest one being their second highest player, just in general, and he's not on the roster, is Kemba Walker, still getting paid $27 million this year from them. You know who else is still getting paid? I think I told Jamie this last night because he was over, but...
Al Horford?
No.
Derek Favors?
No. He's getting paid $999,000, but he has not been on the team for years.
Melo? Paul George?
Serge Ibaka.
Yeah, you know this. I told you this, so don't guess, buddy.
I forgot.
Kyle Singler is still getting paid by the Oklahoma City Thunder this year.
What?
Yeah.
That's the biggest bum in NBA history.
Basically $1 million he's getting paid this year.
He's the biggest bum in the history.
But that just shows how much cap space the Thunder have that they're eating still. They're paying 7 guys who are not even on the team, which is it's crazy. But at most, like Nick, I think he said it, Mike Muscala is really the only asset they could really dump off because everyone else is young and developing. Mike Muscala is really that only piece that's not young and developing. He's already developed into a solid backup center that can make some shots from deep. I think you could trade him for a pick, but I don't really see them doing anything else. If that, they probably won't even do that because I don't even think they're thinking about trades. They're just thinking about their next draft pick or their next big possible trade offer to get a superstar in OKC.
Yeah. Dang, bro.
Jamie like that, bro?
I feel insulted. So, OKC is a weird one because I don't think they really need to do much of anything. They are probably the youngest team in the NBA. Their oldest player is Mike Muscala at 31. Their second oldest player, though, is only 28 years old, and that's Kenrich Williams. That just attests to how young this team is. Legit, everybody on this team, outside of those two, is 25 or younger. So, this team has a lot to look forward to in the future. If you want to trade Mike Muscala, you could definitely do that. Look for somebody like Alexei Pokusevski. He's only averaging 8 a game. I know you're going to lose some size with him in OKC, but he's a bit of a bum. He's not really what OKC's been looking for. So I think he could benefit with a new start somewhere else. There's other places that you could use size. He's a 7-footer that could play the small forward position. So there's the versatility, the potential's there. He's just not really fulfilling it in OKC. So I would maybe move him, but it's definitely not my biggest priority.
Yeah. Okay, well...
Now we can move on.
Yeah, my bad.
You good.
Now, it's Pelicans. Can't believe that they're 1-9 in their last 10, but they've had some injuries. Brandon Ingram's just now getting back.
Took the words out of my mouth.
What?
Pause.
I was just going to say all that.
Oh. But,
Major pause, yeah.
Yeah. Zion Williamson, when he comes back, I feel like they get right back into that number 1 seed contention. I think they're better than the Nuggets straight down the line. I think, obviously not best player for best player. Jokic is better than Zion. Second best player, Brandon Ingram, clears Murray. You get what I'm saying. Down the line, better players are better. I think Pelicans will take over that one spot. But, I think you kind of need to look to get a starting point guard. Like you were saying, Westbrook, that'd be amazing, but it's not going to happen. I would trade for Ricky Rubio, Osman, and Lopez with Jackson Hayes and Vontae Graham. Reason that this benefits the Cavs, though, is your backup center is Kevin Love / Robin Lopez. So now they get Jackson Hayes, they get Devontae Graham to come in, like we were saying a little bit ago on the last episode about them not really having too much depth at that small forward position. You kind of can move Karis LeVert over to the small forward and just run a more real backup bench and have Devontae Graham, who's one of the best bench players in the league. So
I like that. Pelicans, yes, are the 10 seed, but they're only one game out of the 6 seed. So, yes, things look dire. They're lost 9 out of their last 10, like Nick mentioned, but they're still, it just shows how good they started. They're only one game out of the 6 seed. So, they're still alive. And then after that, they're probably only like 4 games out of the first seed. So everything's very tight in this Western Conference. It's insane. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this. But yes, injuries have hurt this team for some time now. Zion is still out. Dyson Daniels is out now. And B.I. just came back recently. He's just getting back into shape. But they are buyers. They're looking to compete now, next year, and the year after that until Zion's legs give out. And hopefully not anytime soon, but they're just looking to compete right now. I'd keep your eye on taking teams in their conference, such as the Rockets, Spurs, and Thunder. For the Spurs, Josh Richardson, I want him to get out of there. I really liked him when he was on the Celtics. Things just didn't really work out because he just didn't really fit the scheme we were trying to go with, and he wasn't really knocking on the shots that he was supposed to make. With that said, I think that'd be a great piece for this Pelicans roster. Devontae Graham in a second. Contracts match basically exactly. The Spurs, they kind of just get a contract that can expire out in a year or two, / a good point guard that can help still run this team. And then obviously the Pelicans get Josh Richardson, who's going to help this team for a championship contending. And then I didn't come up with a trade offer at all. I was just thinking this while I was writing down my notes. Derrick Rose, he'd be a good fit for this Pelicans roster. He can get on a contending team. He's kind of stuck in New York. I saw him on a podcast that I was listening to last week, and he's very content not even playing for the Knicks. He's just at the point in his career where he can still put up buckets when Tom Thibodeau wants him to go out there. That's what he was saying. I can still score. But right now I'm just trying to develop guys like McBride and just do my job as a leader for the team. So watch out for Derrick Rose. It won't happen. I just really like him to see on this roster.
Yeah, so for New Orleans, going up and down the roster, this is a team we've watched live. And when we were at the game and we all saw Najee Marshall check in, we were like, what is this bum doing on the court? I think they need to make a move for a better forward. Of course, there's the Westbrook trade that I've been pushing, so I'm not going to mention that again. But I think moving Najee Marshall, letting Trey Murphy play a little more would be great. They both play that forward position. Trey Murphy's bigger, he's younger, he's athletic, so I think that could be a good move. Get Najee Marshall out of there, maybe trade him for a point guard, maybe package him in like a second or a first for Monte Morris, a real facilitator that they could use if you don't want to go get Westbrook and you want to get cheaper. So I think Monte Morris would be good for this Pelicans roster if you trade Najee Marshall.
Yeah, I like that. So next up is the Jazz, who are still in the play-in, but I have them buying / rebuilding because they're kind of just right in the middle. They don't know if they want to rebuild or
Danny
if they want
Ainge
to
doesn't rebuild. He retools.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. But to me though, I think it's Lauri Markkanen. He is your future, but I don't think he's your star of the future. I mean, who knows how much better he can get? I mean, but I'm leaning towards the rebuild if I'm them. So I'm just saying, you look to get rid of Clarkson, Conley, and Gay. But it is going to be difficult. So I'm just going to kind of start off with Jordan Clarkson. Trade him to the Hawks for Justin Holiday and Frank Kaminsky.
Okay.
I think that'll be good. Getting rid of Frank allows Onyeka to have way more opportunity. And, that's kind of been the problem with him. That's why he's been unhappy, because he doesn't get any opportunity whatsoever. So I think that would really benefit them. And then they get Jordan Clarkson to help out their bench when they have nothing on the bench beside Bogdanovich and A.J. Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're... I just by Danny Ainge being with the Celtics my entire life until last season, they're not gonna rebuild. If anything, well, if they're gonna rebuild, they're gonna blow up the entire thing, which they're not gonna do right now because they already just blew up the entire thing. They traded Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, so they already blew it up. So now they're still playing well. So I think they're retooling 110%. That's just what Danny Ainge does, and they're buyers. They're gonna be buyers. Now, if they want to sell, they could sell off Jordan Clarkson. I think he'd be a great piece. I like the Hawks too, you're saying. Mike Conley has also been rumored to be in the rumor mill for teams if they decide to go that route. Either way, I think he is someone that's going to be on the outbound just because of his age. He doesn't really fit this timeline. But they still have Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen, Vanderbilt, Walker Kessler, who I've been really, really happy with. He is third in Rookie of the Year over Keegan Murray, Jamie.
Terrible.
We saw that yesterday at Subway while we were having lunch, like we mentioned earlier. But yes, I think they're going to be still buying. They're one game out of the 5th seed, even though they're the 9th seed. They were the 1st seed for a good minute in the NBA this season, but they're one game out of the 5th seed. Like I said before, this Western Conference, I don't think we've ever seen anything so close. At least in my living years, at almost 20 years old, I haven't seen this. Maybe prior, but I don't know. So it's very, very close in this Western Conference, and I think they're going to be buying. And I don't know. I like this team.
Yeah, so for Utah, this is a weird one. They just have a lot of good players. I don't really think they need to rebuild at all. Danny Ainge is much of a retooler. So, I mean, I know Mike Conley has been involved in a lot of trade rumors. You could definitely ship him off and get somebody younger, another guard. Or you could trade him for a forward. You already have guys like Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton, THT to run the guard. Shoot, you can bring up Johnny Juzang if you want. You also have Nickeil Alexander-Walker who you can get rid of. So you have guys there who you could trade. I'm just looking at the roster, and I don't see anything immediate that needs to happen. This is not a team that's going to win the championship this year, but if you keep progressing Walker Kessler, you keep drafting well like they've been doing, maybe trading Mike Conley for a couple picks could do you well. Buy into that future. You're already really good, and I just think they're getting closer and closer to being contenders once again, so I don't really think they need to do much at all.
I agree.
Yeah, that's valid. Next up is the Timberwolves, who have gotten kind of back into that lesser play-in window. They were out of the play-in last week, so I mean it's good to see them back at the 8th seed. But it has been in the news as much as John Collins. The Wolves want to move on from D'Lo. I just don't know what teams could use them besides the Wizards and maybe the Heat. I know that they're buyers, all the time. And they're looking to get rid of Kyle Lowry. I feel like if the Wolves bring in Kyle Lowry, he can help mesh the team together. He's got championship experience. He's in a year they built that team and they ended up winning a title. So I think that he can provide something like that no other guard in the NBA could do. So he can help Cat realize that he is one of the most skilled players in NBA history. Because, no center has ever shot like that in the history of basketball. So I think that, and then maybe he can make Gobert not be too much of a fraud, calm Ant down, help him focus on basketball a lot more. And for the Heat, it makes a ton of sense. You get an all-star potential point guard who spaces the floor greatly for JB and Bam. Also, you have a bright future with D'Lo, Bam, Hero. But to get into the trade exactly, it's just a straight-up swap, and the Heat would give up a first-round pick and 2 second-round picks.
You threw me off when you said JB, but then I was like, oh, Jimmy Butler, not Jimmy
Brown.
No, I like that. It's kind of hard for me to trade Kyle Lowry when he's just old. So it's like the Timberwolves really just got to be like, well, we're not going to win anything, so let's just...
Well, I think they could win with Kyle Lowry. He's a better playmaker. And
but he's old.
But you also get the first-round pick, 2 seconds.
No, I definitely like it. That's probably the most realistic option possible. So, I like it. But the Timberwolves have been one of the biggest surprises this season. Do you guys agree?
Yes,
in a bad way.
Yeah, that's right. That was my next point. In a bad way. I forget our exact predictions, but I know I had them at least in the top 4.
I think you had them number 1.
Right.
Did I have him number 1?
Yes.
Or was it 2 or 1?
You had him at 1.
Yeah. This has been such a disappointing team, man.
It has been a very disappointing team. The Rudy, Cat, and D'Lo experiment / Ant experiment, I don't know why I didn't mention Ant, has not really worked out. And this is really where I think is happening here. Rudy, Cat, and D'Lo take up more than 60% of their cap. Now, if you want to add Ant's $13 million, which in the grand scheme of things is not a lot right now because he hasn't got paid yet, those 4 combined take up 70% of their cap space, which leaves only, if you guys want to do math, 30% of their cap space left over. So they can't really sign a quality 6-man to a contract. So this just leaves them with not much room to trade, not much room to sign, and I think that's part of the reason why they suck.
Yeah.
They're just kind of stuck with these big contracts. And then if you bring in Kyle Lowry's contract, crap, I think that makes things even worse.
It does, but it's only a year.
Yeah, exactly. So they're just kind of stuck with this. I don't really know. There's really nothing for them to do except try to just get a lot of money off the books and keep the guys you need, like Ant and Cat. And after, I don't know. I think you can.
Yeah, I think those are the only 2 you keep. Really.
You keep, and I think you just try to, get them paid. I know Cat's already paid, but get Ant paid, and then try to just get some guys on other contracts and just really fill out this roster versus a very top-heavy roster that's getting paid a bunch. We have no money left over. Like Austin Rivers is still in the NBA. How's he still in the NBA? And he's on the Timberwolves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right?
Backup? Yeah. He's their backup point guard, yeah.
Terrible.
That's how's he have a job? No hate on Austin Rivers. He was good for a few years, but he's not good anymore.
Yeah, so if I'm Minnesota, I am immediately getting rid of D'Angelo Russell. It's what you have to do. He's holding up so much money. Just really restraining them from getting any depth, signing any young guys. So that is priority number 1. Get rid of D'Lo. If the Wizards want to take that in, I'm not sure how they would, but you can go get Monte Morris. You can go get some picks. Will Barton.
Yeah.
So bring in some more depth, bring in some playmaking, clear out a lot of money, and get rid of D'Angelo Russell. I'm looking over this roster, and it's a very old roster. Outside of Anthony Edwards is actually the youngest player on this team, outside of Josh Minot, who doesn't even play. So I do think they have to bring in some youth. This is just an old roster, and if they don't win anything in the next 3 to 4 years, they are going to be in poverty. So I think you got to focus on bringing in some youth, getting some picks, and still trying to contend, honestly. So the Timberwolves are in a very tough spot.
And they gave up a lot for Rudy, so they don't really have a lot of picks to make picks.
I mean, that's probably, aside from the Nets trade, the worst trade in recent NBA history so far. But
terrible.
Next up is Phoenix Suns. They went up in the play-in too. They were out of the play-in last week. Buying/selling. They want Paul out. Crowder wants out. Monty Williams cannot control the locker room. Things are not going well. Dream trade: Crowder to Milwaukee for Grayson Allen and 2 second-round picks.
The Suns are in trouble. They are in trouble. Sound the alarm. A tornado is coming. Jay Crowder, we all know, he wants out. We talked about earlier, most likely destination is the Milwaukee Bucks, and I've never really seen this, but they're allowing him to talk with the Bucks, which means we're going to make a deal. We just don't know what yet. So that's going to happen, I'd say 99%, and we'll be talking about it on our live show, most likely. Hopefully that trade is one of them. And then Chris Paul has been in rumors because he has finally taken a step back in his ability on the court. But that contract is just so much to move that
they should have signed him for that.
I know we've talked about different rumors before, like to the Raptors and all this and that, but I just will never comprehend why the Raptors would do that, because it doesn't make them better. It makes them worse. I know they're trying to rebuild, which is the direction I think we all know they want to go in, or at least we think they should go in. But why would they want Chris Paul on their books? It makes no sense. I think he's just stuck. He really is. Unless a team can buy him out, but still, you're gonna be stuck paying $46 million to a guy who's not going to play for you. Why would you want to do that? So I don't really have a avenue to go with on this.
Yeah, so in Phoenix's situation, this is another team that's been quite disappointing. Injuries have been hurting him. Chris Paul's underperforming. Devin Booker hasn't been able to stay healthy a ton. And with that coming together, with Chris Paul and Devin Booker not being able to stay healthy, that ends up with Landry Shamet starting a lot of games. And we don't like that. So I think making a trade for somebody like Peyton Pritchard could honestly help out. They have.
Who we getting?
You guys could get Josh Okogie, help out with some defense. Josh Okogie and a pick.
We're too guard heavy.
You could get Ish Wainwright. You can get Damian Lee.
Jay Crowder, but
no, you'll have to give up more for Jay Crowder other than just Peyton Pritchard. So, again, I think Peyton Pritchard would help just because I don't like Landry Shamet starting for Phoenix if they want to win games. But yeah, Chris Paul, they're stuck with him. They want to trade him. It's not going to happen.
No one wants that.
No.
For someone who's good but not good.
Yeah, exactly.
He's good, but he's not worth $46 million.
Really, all you're getting out of Chris Paul right now is State Farm commercials.
He's literally averaging 8 points per game, the most turnovers of his career, relatively low field goal percentage.
You missed a stat. So he's averaging how many points a game? 8. He's only averaging 8 points.
9.
8 and 9, right? You're missing a stat.
What, assist?
Not 3 State Farm commercials a game.
I would rather have Jake from State Farm on my team than Chris Paul right now.
I would too.
He's got more commercials playing per game than he's got.
He does. You always see that commercial of him doing that.
Yeah, the little walking marathon thing.
Yeah, but next up, number 6. You good?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 6, Dallas Mavericks. They're buying. Luka's a superstar, future of the NBA, but he needs more help than just Christian Wood, who is out with an injury right now anyways. So the Hawks have been very, very persistent of getting John Collins off the team.
I don't get it.
But as they want to move more, towards a perimeter-focused player to space the floor, help on defense as far as that mid-range area, kind of get a guy that's going to be able to control that better. So I was thinking, I was thinking Reggie Bullock or Finney Smith, and I don't know which one though. Whoever has a higher contract.
Yeah.
Finney Smith.
Okay.
I think it's Finney Smith.
Finney Smith and Maxi Kleber, and 2 first-round picks will be able to win the Hawks over. And then think about that starting 5: Luka, Spencer Dinwiddie, Reggie Bullock, John Collins, Christian Wood.
It's just the Hawks. That's the only thing. I just never understand.
The Hawks are not a very well-run organization.
They do get worse. It's ridiculous, but whatever. If they want to, what's his face? Mark Cuban is a guy that takes advantage of franchises.
Bad situations.
You know, why not just throw them 2 first-round picks? It's
Exactly.
not like those are going to be anything. You got Luka Doncic.
Yeah. I think the Mavericks are a lot like the Suns in this way. They're just cap stuck with their books and their contracts. Luka is 1,000%. I don't care if he's making $100 million a year. He's worth every penny. So I'm not talking about Luka when I'm talking about their cap stuck. Luka is worth every single darn penny he's going to make in his career. But they are paying Tim Hardaway Jr. $41 million over 2 years. Davis Bertans is making $50 million over 3 years. Dorian Finney-Smith is making $54 million over 4 years. Reggie Bullock is making $20 million over 2 years. That one's not too bad. And Maxi Kleber is making $42 million over 4 years. They got no room to make moves unless they get some of these contracts off the book. But no one wants Davis Bertans. No one really wants Maxi Kleber. Tim Hardaway Jr. is a good player, but no one wants the $40 million for 2 years. Like, they just have contracts they're not going to be able to move. I think the only realistic options are Finney-Smith, who's been rumored, because he's like probably their most valuable asset on these big contracts. But most likely to be traded is probably Reggie Bullock. He's on a smaller contract, and he's a good piece that can still play relatively well. I think he's slightly overpaid, but nothing like the other 4 I mentioned. They're not going anywhere. Especially Bertans and Kleber, and even Tim Hardaway Jr., no one wants that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily for them, though, they have some expiring deals.
They do.
What's his face? Dwight Powell. He's an expiring deal.
Yep.
So
he's expired. But these other ones, they're here for either next year or another year after that, and I don't really see them going anywhere unless they're on their last year of their deal, which is not anytime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Dallas has been one of the teams where I've been very intrigued in over the last few weeks. Just this whole get Luka help movement going, and the Mavericks haven't really done anything. They're signing all these bums to big contracts, and it's not working out. So I think John Collins might be your best move right now. Like what Nick said, just lure them in, send them 2 firsts and Dorian Finney-Smith, and that should work. Or if you want to get real crazy, this is dream scenarios. If you want to get freaky, go out and offer the Pacers something for Miles Turner. They just signed him. You're going to have 2 years with him. Yeah, you're going to have to pay him a little bit of money, but you can't tell me he wouldn't be perfect right next to Luka Doncic.
Amazing.
Because the Mavericks are 24th in points per game, 30th in rebounds per game, 30th in assists per game. So they are lacking. Yes, they're still the 6th. They're still 6th in the West with all of that. So I think if you bring in somebody like Miles Turner, somebody like John Collins, this team is going to skyrocket.
One quick thing real quick before I jump into the Warriors. I was watching this video last night on YouTube talking about some of the worst contracts in the NBA.
I was there. I was listening to that.
Yes, Jamie was using my Xbox because his Xbox is broken, so he's using mine. Russell Westbrook wasn't on that list, I'm sorry. But I'm not talking about Russell Westbrook, so let me jump into this. Davis Bertans was on that list, right? The Wizards gave him that big contract, and you were talking about how Mark Cuban's a smart guy. I'm going to fight back on that one. They traded Kristaps Porzingis, right, to the Wizards. Mark Cuban, he runs that team. He's like, well, I think Davis Bertans is going to be the next Kristaps Porzingis because he had a great season on the Wizards.
He did.
So he traded those two thinking Davis Bertans would be really good. He's not even in the rotation anymore. So good job, Mark Cuban. You can't even get help from Luka Doncic because you're playing someone who doesn't even play for you, $50 million over 3 years. Nice.
He's on Shark Tank, though.
Yeah, he's a goat.
Mm-hmm.
But,
and Dirk.
I just thought that was a crazy thing.
Yeah, I feel you. We ready to get into the Warriors?
Go ahead.
All right. So, obviously, they're contending. It didn't matter if they're the 10th seed in the Western Conference coming up from the play-in. This is still a top 5 team in basketball. They need perimeter defense badly. The starting 5 is great, along with Kuminga and Wiseman off the bench. Those two can play really good defense, but Jordan Poole, he does not care about defense whatsoever. Moses Moody does not care about defense. Dante DiVincenzo does not care about defense. I can keep on going. Nobody on that team below the starting 5 and the guys I mentioned before care about defense. So if I'm them, Alec Burks is who I'm targeting. He plays great perimeter defense, shoots the ball really well. And I don't like Dante DiVincenzo, so I say get him out of there, get Alec Burks, but you got to throw in Michael Green to make the contracts work in 2 seconds. That should get the job done.
Yeah.
Looking through the rumor mills, just on the internet, sorry, but Matisse Thybulle was the name that popped up.
I saw that too.
That's what I was going to say.
Every different article I was reading, Matisse Thybulle. And after losing guys like Gary Payton and Otto Porter Jr. this past offseason, like Nick said, they got no perimeter defense after the top 5. But getting Matisse Thybulle would really help out their chances of making any run because without any perimeter defense, they're not going to go far in the playoffs. They'll make the playoffs, and they'll still be a scary team. They'll put any team to 7 games, but I don't know how far they're going to make it because Gary Payton, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, Otto Porter Jr., one of the best perimeter and three-point shooters in the league, and they lost both of them. So I think they really need someone like Matisse Thybulle to come in, who can't shoot, but I think they have enough shooting, obviously, but just to play pure defense and lock up another team's best player.
You know who I'll take for Matisse Thybulle? Jordan Poole. That's how valuable.
No way.
He's not that valuable to
No.
Well, if they try to offer DiVincenzo and JaMychal Green, I'd hang up the phone. He's the best defender on the team.
Yeah.
What about this? JaMychal Green, DiVincenzo, and a 2026 first round pick.
I want 2 first round picks.
No, because the 2026 the Warriors gonna be terrible.
2 first rounders from Matisse Thybulle?
24 years old.
Yeah, but he doesn't score.
He doesn't score.
He doesn't need to. He's just a modern day Tony Allen.
Man.
And Tony Allen's not worth.
And Tony Allen's not even worth that much either. So
Still, they can keep JaMychal Green. Give us DiVincenzo and 2 first round picks.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So if I'm the Warriors,
Sixers fan.
We won't have a small forward, a backup small forward. We'll have Furkan Korkmaz, but he's not in the rotation. There's a reason for that. So
yeah. So if I'm the Warriors, I'm obviously looking at defense. Jordan Poole's he's more worried about looking at the girls in the front row than he is playing defense. So you obviously have to go in that direction. So I think Matisse Thybulle is your A1 option. Nick here thinks he's the GM and he wouldn't take that trade, but we don't know what the Sixers GM wants. So
more, he's goated.
Yeah, but again, it's the Warriors. They know how to fleece. We saw what happened with KD, how they brought him in and ruined the league. So obviously, Alec Burks would be a great deal. I think that's a good option. Another guy I'm looking at here is James Wiseman. I know they're not going to do anything with him, but I just don't really like how he's performing. He's not producing like a second overall pick should. He's the backup center now on a contending team. I'm not saying trade him. I'm just saying look at your future. I'd trade him in the offseason. I would trade him in the offseason or in the future just because he's not performing as he should be. He was a second overall pick, and he's playing like the 40th overall pick. So
it's just not a good fit for him. I think he still has potential.
Yeah, and before I get into the next team, Gilbert Arenas, I was watching the All the Smoke podcast. He said that right now, what Warriors could have LaMelo Ball, Jordan Poole, Curry, and Klay Thompson. That could be their, obviously that's a terrible, thing. But, I mean, you have LaMelo Ball. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine that?
All right, so.
Next up, we got the Clippers. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to hold back. I got them as pretenders. They need a point guard badly. Wall just is not the guy he used to be as far as a starting point guard. It's just not his role anymore. He's great off the bench, though. He's a great playmaker off the bench. I would say try to get Conley with all you can. They have no picks whatsoever, but if the Jazz are willing to get rid of him, give up Reggie Jackson and Rocco for Mike Conley and Rudy Gay.
I'm just thinking about this. Mike Conley. Yeah, that'd be good for them. They're the 4th seed, but they're not safe. They're we know, I've said it many times today, the West is so damn close. It's crazy. They're the 4th seed, but not safe at all. They're only 3 games ahead of the 11th seed, so they could fall. They have a quick, little losing streak. They're out of the damn play-in, but they're the 4th seed right now, which is just crazy. I could go on and on all day, just one segment about how crazy and close this Western Conference is, but we don't got time for that. With that said, they do have the talent to hold the 6th seed or above, but they do need depth at the point guard position, like Nick mentioned. Reports are Kawhi wants a true point guard, and John Wall's just not cutting it. Targets are Fred VanVleet, Mike Conley, Nick mentioned that, and Kyle Lowry for true point guards. Team up Kyle Lowry with Kawhi. I guess feel about that one.
I like that.
I like it, but to me, like I said, pretenders.
It's championship chemistry.
Most realistically, though, I think it's probably that the Raptors are moving towards a rebuild, and they're probably not gonna. I mean, they're gonna move Fred VanVleet, but I don't really think
that deal benefits
them. So I think the Raptors are out of that. Yeah. Mike Conley, I think, is the most realistic. If the Jazz decide to not retool and just be like, let's just flush Mike Conley and some other big contracts out of there. So yeah. I'd go with Mike Conley out of those 3.
So the Clippers are an elderly home. There are a lot of old guys on this team. Reggie Jackson, Kawhi Leonard, Rocco, Marcus Morris, Nick Batum. So I think they do have to go chase some youth. I always bring up Monte Morris, but he's just such a good facilitator that a team could use, and I think the Clippers could use that. Fred VanVleet is another guy. a team that doesn't really have great shooting. And a lot of their young guys don't really get a ton of minutes. Moses Brown played like Wilt Chamberlain last year. I remember that. He had like 25 boards in a game. He's only averaging 4 points, 4 boards a game. He's not getting the minutes. Terrence Mann, he's barely getting any minutes either. He's only averaging 8 a game. So I'm trying to move somebody like Rocco, guys who are taking minutes from your young guys, stopping them from developing. Just bringing in some younger guys, Monte Morris, Fred VanVleet. Those are 2 guys who I think could benefit this Clippers team.
Yeah, I agree. Next up is the Kings.
Oh, I could talk forever about this one.
Legit contenders, but they're also by to contend. OG has been mentioned with some other teams, and I feel like if they got him, they solidify a deep playoff run. Their floor would be the conference finals to me. Besides that, this team is perfect. They don't need much, so I will just fill out like a potential trade I see occurring. Rashawn Holmes. Oh, I guess I didn't put the receiving team, but Rashawn Holmes and KZ Akapola. I feel like and that would be for OG Anunoby. Rashawn Holmes, KZ, and 2 first-round picks for OG.
I would love that.
I'm excited for this Kings roster. I think I had him at the 11th seed coming into this season.
Hater. I told
I
you.
had him in the 9th seed.
Actually, no, I remember I've done this before. I moved him to the 10th seed because JMU was just pushing me. I was like, all right, you've convinced me they'll be the 10th seed. But look where they are now. They proved me wrong. They are the 3rd seed in the Western Conference. Side note real quick. If they don't get a single All-Star, that'd be a tragedy.
There's no way at least Sabonis doesn't. De'Aaron Fox has to. There's no way.
It'd be a tragedy if they don't have one. And it would be a murder if Fox is not in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I got to say on that one. But yeah, OG has been rumored. But I feel like the Raptors want to try to work him into the rebuild with Scottie because he's only 25 years old. But if they want to trade him, I think the Kings would be the most... It would be Cancun, Maui, Hawaii. It would just be the most beautiful situation possible. I think the Kings, that's like the piece they're missing, is just someone who's a pure perimeter defender but can also score on offense. And you wouldn't even have to score that much. If he averaged, even 10 points a game but played great defense, that's all you need because Fox obviously going to handle most of that load. Along with the Warriors and Kings, they're rumored to also have interest in Matisse Thybulle as well. The Kings are rumored there. Like that's kind of like a way lower level of an OG. So how do you feel about this as the Kings fan in the room? Yeah,
so Sacramento, they have moves to make. They're buying for the future. This is a team that's going to contend for a long time. They have a lot of young guys under contract. So I would look to get more perimeter defense, whether that's in Matisse Thybulle or OG Anunoby, who is obviously the dream. I would love to trade KZ Okpala, somebody like Alex Len, Rashawn Holmes, get him out of here. I don't even know why Alex Len's still on this team, honestly, so I'd ship him out, just get like a second-round pick for him. I don't even care at this point. Bring in defense is number 1. I don't think we're going to end up trading for Matisse or OG, just because I'm used to being disappointed as a Kings fan. So I think after that, trading for rim protection is key. Sabonis only averages like 0.7 blocks per game as our starting center. And our backup center is Rashawn Holmes, who's only 6'10", so he's getting bodied. He's getting boards, but that's about it. So I would,
Bryant was kind of killing.
Yeah, so I would look to trade for either Mo Bamba or Nerlens Noel. 2 guys who are great at protecting the rim, 2 guys who are great at rebounding and have a lot of experience in doing so. Mo Bamba has a lot of potential. He has that one dope song made after him, so I would love for that. And then Nerlens Noel, former top-end pick. He's proven himself to be a great player and a fantastic role guy. So, I would not complain if we traded for him as a backup center. So, as a Kings fan, I'm excited, man. I think we're just like 1 or 2 pieces away.
I agree. I agree with you. Number 2, second seed in the West, Grizzlies. My pick for coming out of the West as of right now. No changes happen. This is who I think will be in the NBA Finals. Memphis Grizzlies. They have a lot to prove, and I think they will. They have the 3rd best point guard in basketball, and I think that you got to get some more depth at that big man position. The depth at the guard is great. You've got Tyus Jones, you've got Desmond Bane, John Morant, obviously. You've got John Concar, who's been really good. It's just go down the line. They're really nice. But like we were kind of saying, I think last week, Jackson Hayes does not get used for the Pelicans. I think that he will be perfect for them. He's one of the best defenders in the league. He's 22, plays gritty defense like Memphis loves. Brandon Clark is on a pretty team-friendly deal. I feel like you trade Brandon Clark for Jackson Hayes and Garrett Temple. I think that's... And then as far as the the Pelicans, what they gain from this, Brandon Clark's a great stretch big. He plays defense, and you can run him beside Zion because he stretches the floor.
I got something weird. I think OG could go to this Grizzlies roster.
Please, no.
They have the best package besides... I like them and the Kings are close, but they have the best package possible, in my opinion, for a winning team. Obviously, a bad team could give them the book, and obviously that'd be a lot better. But for a winning team, they could send them Dylan Brooks and a young guy like Zaire Williams. I think that'd be a better package than anything the Kings could offer.
Low key, unless y'all are giving up Davion Mitchell.
Davion Mitchell has been rumored to...
I wouldn't do that. Unless you're getting back... I don't know, because Malachi Flint's nothing. So.
I want to preface it by saying there was no reports on that. I was just thinking about something out of the box.
Yeah, I don't see him going to Memphis.
I know, but there's been no rumors on it. I just think they have the best. I was just looking at teams that are contenders that could make offers. Like the Celtics couldn't make an offer. There's so many teams that just couldn't make an offer, but for contenders, I think it's the Grizzlies and Kings that can make the best offer. And I don't know. I think the Grizzlies. I like that one for the Grizzlies. But like I said, that's completely unlikely. There's been no reports on it. But the Grizzlies are basically the Celtics, in my opinion. Not much they need to do. But if they can make a small depth move, that would make them even more scary. I think them and the Celtics are like the 1-2 combo that they don't need to do anything. They're still going to be great. But if they make one little move, put them over the hump just to completely destroy everyone.
Yeah, so obviously if you're Memphis trading OG Anunoby, you're probably going to win the championship. This team's just so well built. But I'm looking at this roster, and I don't really think you need to do much of anything. You could obviously go for Jackson Hayes, and that would be cool and all, but you just have so many pieces. Of course, you have John Moran, Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson. That's your big three. But then your role players are all so good. You have Zaire Williams, Brandon Clark, Dylan Brooks, and then you have your lower-end guys, Steven Adams, Danny Green, Tyus Jones. And then you even have youth for the future. Kenny Chandler, who was their first overall pick this year, Jake LaRavia, Kenny Lofton, who's been dominating in the G League, David Roddy. So I just think that the Grizzlies are set for the future. I don't really think they need to do much of anything. They are championship contenders, and they're here to stay.
Yeah. Now moving on to our number 1 seed, Denver Nuggets. Pretenders. I said it. KCP, only true shooting guard on the team. Davion Reed. Y'all remember Devon Reed?
Mm-hmm.
He's their only backup shooting guard as of right now. Bruce Brown is the small forward, so and he plays better at small forward than he does shooting guard.
What about KCP?
KCP starting shooting guard.
Oh yeah.
So I would say trade Ish Smith, and I know you're gonna find this crazy, but for Justin Holiday. And the reason I like it is because Justin Holiday can still play good defense, and Jeff Green and Bones Highland, all those guys shoot really good. So you just need another defender down there, because that's what he does. He plays defense, and he can come in there and play defense, backing up KCP.
Yeah.
I've seen.
But my bad.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
But if that does not work, pick up David Nwaba.
Cool.
I've seen rumbles of Bones Highland getting interest, but I don't know why. I mean, they'd get rid of someone who I think can potentially, in a year or two, start and average 20 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he has that in him. He's a pure offensive talent. He reminds me of a Jordan Poole. He kind of has that flashiness to him, that swagger to him, those dribble moves, that just like swagger on the court, that he could turn to someone like a Jordan Poole, like a microwave off the bench, or someone who's a microwave off the bench but should be starting on the team. So I don't know why, unless you think he's so valuable that you could go out and get a superstar right now, but I don't think he's at the point right now where teams think he's that valuable. So I don't know why you get rid of him. I think it's just someone you brew who I think can turn into a 20-point per game scorer per night. With that said, they're the number 1 seed for a reason. I think they could use a backup center, DeAndre Jordan.
Well, Zeke Naji's been pretty decent.
He's been pretty good, but him and DeAndre Jordan I think they could use a pure backup center. I hate to say it, sounds embarrassing, but Mason Plumlee, I really like him. He could average 10 and 10. They don't need much because Jokic is obviously playing 40 minutes a night as their center, so they don't really need much minutes for a backup center. But I think they could use a little bit of an upgrade there, also at the guard position. But really, they're the number 1 seed for a reason. I know you're saying they're pretenders, but look at that. Look at their roster. They have amazing pieces. So
they do, but we'll get into it.
All right, so first overall, first seed, Denver Nuggets. They do lack guard depth at the 2 especially. They're really great at everything. They have scores, they got defense, they got playmaking with Jokic. So if I was looking at that 2-guard position, I would look for maybe a Nickeil Alexander-Walker, just because Utah has so many guards, and he's a great defender, great on offense, and I just think he'd be a nice little piece off the bench. I am not trading Bones Highland whatsoever. I'm not even thinking about trading Bones Highland. He's the future. I'm one of his biggest supporters. I love that dude, so I'm not even considering moving him. So outside of maybe just a move for a backup 2 guard, the Nuggets are set, and they're going to be scary.
Yeah.
You had something to add there?
About what?
I thought you were going to say you were talking about the Nuggets.
Oh, man. Oh, why I think they're a contender? I don't know. I mean, when the playoffs come, Jokic has not been good. He's been good, but he's not been, your best player has to improve in the playoffs in order for you to actually win a championship.
Jamal Murray's been their best player.
That's my point exactly. And Jamal Murray has been looking like a top 20 point guard this season, but he's just, I don't know if he'll be able to ever get back to that point that he was in the bubble.
He fell off.
So I think that there'll be a second round exit. That's just a hot take. I think there'll be a second round.
Real quick before we end the show, I just want to say thank you guys for a great show today. It's been a rough day. Tom Brady retired today. He's announced his retirement at 45 years old, the 7-time Super Bowl champion. He's done it all. It'll never be recreated again. You can talk all you want about Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes will go down as the best athletic quarterback this league has ever seen. He'll go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen, but he will never get 7 Super Bowls. He won't get 8. He won't get 6. I can see him maybe getting 5, and you can put him in probably a conversation. But this is not a football debate, so I don't want to hear anything from you, Jamie.
Trey Lance.
I'm speaking. Okay, here we go with the dumb jokes. Trey Lance will just never step on.
He's not a joke.
Again. And anyways, I just want to say thank you guys for a great show today. I've been having a rough day. It hit hard, especially seeing the video of him getting emotional. I dropped a few tears. I just want to say I love you, Tom Brady. You're my idol. The way your work ethic, the way you carry yourself on and off the field, it inspires me every day to keep pushing myself to aspire for the goals I have in life. I seriously mean it. So anyways, thank you so much for listening, everyone. And Jamie, let's hit the outro.
All right, yeah. Trey Lance will carry on that Bay Area legacy that Brady left. So with all of that being said, thank you all for tuning in to WVUA 90.7 and the Full Court Press Podcast. We will be back next week where we start our new series of making tier lists for every position in the NBA, starting with the point guards. Have a great week and see you later.